Greetings from the Book Whisper. Every story is a journey into a world of love, passion, deception, and self-discovery. Close your eyes, let the sounds carry you away, and may this story touch your heart. The Lane of Forgotten Lanterns. Fog in Portland in November wasn't weather, it was a state of being. It swallowed the steel bridge whole, turned the glass towers of downtown into faint, glowing ghosts, and made the old gas lamps along Northwest 23rd Avenue burn with a weak, diffuse light. Standing under the wrought iron awning of a building in the Alphabet District, William Thorne realized he was holding not an umbrella, but an alibi. He was escorting home, after a charity gala at the Art Museum, not his wife, but his mistress. His wife, Charlotte, a curator at the Portland Art Museum, was at home, likely already asleep, trusting the text he'd sent 2 hours prior, running late with donors, don't wait up. The lie was a small, cold stone in his pocket. Mia, the woman beside him, was the opposite of Charlotte. Where Charlotte was all curated elegance and thoughtful silence, Mia was vivid immediacy. A landscape architect, her hands were often dusted with soil, her laugh was too loud for polite rooms, and she saw the city not as a collection of artifacts, but as a living system to be healed. For William, a developer who specialized in sustainable, community-focused high-rises, a term he learned to use from her, she was a tonic, a rebellion against his own meticulously constructed life. "You should come up," Mia whispered, her breath a warm cloud in the damp air. Her apartment was above a boutique florist, its windows dark. "You know I can't," William said, the refrain as familiar as a liturgy. Charlotte is a closed book you finished reading years ago, William. You just keep it on the shelf for show." The truth of it, stated so bluntly in the fog, was a shock. His marriage to Charlotte was indeed a beautiful, empty display case, a partnership of mutual respect and profound, unspoken loneliness, solidified after the miscarriage that had ended their hopes for a family 5 years ago. The passion had leaked out slowly, replaced by the quiet hum of shared failure. Mia was the wild, green growth breaking through the concrete. But this night, the familiar thrill of the secret felt thin. As he watched Mia disappear into her building, a deeper unease settled over him. It wasn't guilt, it was the chilling sense of being an actor in a play whose script he no longer controlled. The first crack in the stage set appeared 3 days later. William had taken Mia to a remote stretch of coastline near Cannon Beach, a place they considered theirs. They'd spent the afternoon in a driftwood fort she'd built, talking about a future he couldn't quite envision. He'd taken a photo of her, laughing against the gray sky, her hair whipped by the wind. He'd forgotten to turn off the location data. That evening, over a dinner of seared scallops Charlotte had prepared in silence, his phone buzzed. A notification from a shared cloud album he and Charlotte hadn't used since their honeymoon in Italy. Puzzled, he opened it. There was only one new image. It was the photo of Mia on the beach. The metadata was intact. The location tag, Ecola Creek State Park, glared like an accusation. No message, no comment, just the image, sitting in the digital space that belonged to his marriage. The blood drained from his face. He looked across the table. Charlotte was calmly buttering a roll, her eyes on her plate. Her silence was no longer just quiet, it was tectonic. "Did you see this?" he asked, his voice strangled, holding up his phone. She glanced at it, then back at her roll. "See what, William? I'm just having dinner." Her tone was flat, devoid of curiosity. It was the most terrifying sound he'd ever heard. This was not a confrontation, it was a declaration of war issued in a whisper. The intrigue had begun, and Charlotte held the first, devastating piece of intelligence. She knew, and she was letting him know she knew, not with tears, but with a perfectly placed digital bullet. Panic, sharp and animal, seized him. He ended things with Mia the next day in a rushed, cowardly phone call, citing overwhelming pressure at work. Mia's response was a stunned silence, then a single, shattered "I see." The connection, his lifeline, was severed. He expected relief from Charlotte, a return to their cold, familiar peace. Instead, her silence deepened, became a tangible force in the loft. She began to go out more, to gallery openings, lectures, networking events. She started wearing a perfume he didn't recognize, something dark and spicy, unlike her usual clean scent. Once, he found a matchbook from an obscure jazz club in her coat pocket, a place he knew she'd never choose. The jealousy that erupted in him was ferocious and unexpected. He'd assumed his affair was a secret he kept from her. Now, he realized, hers might be a secret she was keeping from him. The betrayal he'd perpetrated now felt mirrored, reflected back at him with exquisite, silent irony. He became a detective in his own home. He checked her phone when she showered. The password was unchanged, their wedding date, a mockery. He scanned credit card statements, nothing unusual. He called her assistant at the museum, pretending to confirm a dinner date, and learned Charlotte had taken several personal days recently. The tension was a wire stretched to breaking. He confronted her one night, his voice cracking. "Where are you going? Who is he?" She looked up from her book, her expression one of mild, academic interest. "Who is who, William? I'm just living my life. You seemed preoccupied for so long, I decided not to wait for you to finish." Her words were calm, but they were scalpels. She had weaponized his own neglect. The disappointment in her eyes wasn't in his infidelity, but in his pathetic, belated attempt to reclaim a territory he'd abandoned. Desperate, he hired a private investigator, a grizzled man named Lucas. "Find out who she's seeing." Lucas delivered his report a week later, not with photographs, but with a timeline and a name. Charlotte had been seen on 4 occasions having lengthy, intense coffee meetings with a man named Elijah Reed, an architect, a renowned, controversial one, known for deconstructivist designs that challenged Portland's aesthetic. William knew the name. He'd tried to hire him once for a project. Reed had refused, calling his vision corporate pastoral. The meetings were at a public cafe. They leaned close over notebooks, talking with animated intensity. Once, Charlotte had laughed a real, unguarded laugh Lucas said he hadn't heard from her in years. The evidence was of an intellectual affair, a meeting of minds, but to William, emasculated and paranoid, it was a new, more profound intimacy. She was sharing her mind, the part of her he'd found too quiet, too deep, with another man. He had to see it. He followed her to the cafe, hiding behind a newspaper like a caricature of a jealous husband. He saw them. Elijah Reed was older, with a sharp, intelligent face. Charlotte was leaning forward, her eyes alight, gesturing at a sketch in a notebook. The passion on her face was not romantic, it was creative, engaged. It was the look of a woman coming back to life, and he, William, had not been the catalyst, he had been the obstacle. Blind with a rage born of humiliation, he stormed into the cafe. The bell jangled violently, 2 heads snapped up. "Charlotte," he barked, "we need to talk, now." Elijah Reed looked from William's furious face to Charlotte's calm one. A flicker of understanding, and something like pity, passed over his features. He stood. "Charlotte, I'll call you about the grant proposal." He nodded at William, a gesture devoid of fear or challenge, and left. In the ringing silence, William hissed, "So this is it, your revenge? Trading up for a more artistic model?" Charlotte slowly closed her notebook. "Sit down, William, you're making a scene. Who is he? How long?" "Elijah is a colleague, a friend. We're co-authoring a proposal for a public art installation, a memorial garden." She took a sip of her tea. "It's about transformation, about how spaces that hold loss can be redesigned to foster growth." The words, so clinical, so utterly removed from the emotional apocalypse he was experiencing, enraged him further. "Don't lie to me, I saw how you looked at him." Finally, she met his gaze. Her eyes were clear, hard. "That look, William, is what happens when someone listens, when they value your thoughts. It's called respect. You might remember the concept. You used to have it for me. And the perfume, the jazz club?" A faint, icy smile touched her lips. "The perfume is for me, the jazz club is where I go to think, alone. You see, you're not the only one who can have a secret life. The difference is, mine isn't built on lying to you, it's built on escaping the echo chamber of your indifference." He was floored. The entire intricate web of suspicion he'd spun the rival, the affair was a phantom. Her rebellion wasn't against him with another man, it was a rebellion toward herself. His own infidelity had simply been the spark that made her finally leave the house that was their marriage, not for another's bed, but for her own mind. The confrontation ended not with a bang, but with a profound, humiliating whimper. He had nothing to accuse her of except independence. The unexpected twist came 2 months later, at the unveiling of the memorial garden Charlotte and Elijah had designed. It was a stunning, serene space in a neglected corner of Washington Park, native grasses, stone benches inscribed with fragments of poetry, a slender channel of water that mirrored the sky. Charlotte stood at the podium, elegant and assured, thanking the city, the funders, her collaborator Elijah. William stood at the back of the crowd, a ghost. He listened as she dedicated the garden, not to a person, but to an idea. "This space is dedicated to the possibility of regrowth," she said, her voice carrying clearly in the cold air, "to the understanding that even in the most fallow ground, nurtured by truth and honest labor, something new and beautiful can take root." The crowd applauded. Elijah shook her hand, a gesture of pure professional camaraderie. As people milled about, William saw a man approach Charlotte. He was tall, with a kind, open face. He wasn't Elijah, he was someone new, a botanist who had consulted on the project, Charlotte later mentioned offhandedly. William watched as the man made her laugh, the same real laugh Lucas had described. He watched him touch her arm lightly to guide her towards a specific plant. And William understood the final, devastating logic. His affair with Mia had been an escape, a desperate lunge for feeling. Charlotte's response was not to mirror his escape, but to build a new world so compelling, so authentic, that it would naturally attract new life into it. She hadn't fought for him, she hadn't even fought against him, she had simply outgrown the pot he'd kept her in. The garden was her declaration of independence, and the man admiring it with her was simply the first bee to find the newly bloomed flower. He turned and walked away, down a path lined with those old, fog-diffused gas lamps, the lane of forgotten lanterns, she'd once called this part of town. He was the forgotten one now. He had traded the quiet, profound partnership he'd taken for granted for a fleeting passion, and in doing so, had given his wife the one thing she needed to finally leave him behind, the undeniable proof of his own emotional bankruptcy. The affair was over, the marriage was dead, but Charlotte, he saw with the clarity that was pure agony, was just beginning. And just like that, another journey on the Book Whisper comes to an end. We hope it was worth your while. If this story found a place in your thoughts, help us keep the magic alive. Subscribe and hit the bell so you never miss the next world we explore. Your like is the best signal telling us which tales to tell more of. Thank you for listening. Until the next adventure.